The opposition will not be anywhere near as strong as France, Denmark and Peru, but Australia can take nothing for granted, and Arnold knows that he has little room to maneuver in his first major tournament in charge, as he will be benchmarked against Postecoglou, who led Australia to their first men's trophy in that final in Sydney in 2015, but Arnold, a veteran of the Australian game, knows more than anything where the nation's problems lie: toothlessness in front of goal. Not that he has to be a visionary to see the Socceroos' shortcomings. They're valiant, hard-working, committed, full of effort and desire. They have a strong mentality, are physically robust and good athletically, and are smart at absorbing tactical information. But they simply cannot score goals, at least not from open play. In this tournament they scored twice, both from the penalty spot courtesy of captain Mile Jedinak. On few occasions did they genuinely look like scoring from open play. They received plenty of compliments for the way they went about things in Russia, but in the end the Socceroos lacked the quality to get the job done against one of the best sides in the world, France, a decent-level European team, Denmark, and the sixth-best team, out of 10 in the continental qualifying group, in Latin America, Peru. Could they have hoped for more? Yes and no. The three teams they were pitted against came into the World Cup ranked in the top 12 in the world, so the Socceroos were always going to be up against it. Loading playing in 5, but the strides they had made under Van Marwijk, with those two impressive pre-tournament wins against admittedly average nations in Hungary and the Czech Republic, gave reasonable grounds for optimism that if things fell their way and they got some luck they might just sneak through. A plucky performance against France, when they were only undone by a dubious VAR penalty decision and a deflected Paul Pogba goal, gave grounds for hope. But in the end those hopes were dashed by their inability to beat the Danes when they had them on the ropes, and their failure to put away Peru when they had the chance to see off the South Americans, even when they were a goal down. It is a familiar refrain. The Socceroos have struggled to find the net against some ordinary teams during their Asian qualifying campaigns in recent times. When they enjoyed something like 80% possession against a limited Thai team in their final group qualifying game in Melbourne, they could only win 2-1. Had they won by the higher margin their dominance deserved, it would have spared them the arduous playoffs they had to endure to even get to Russia in the first place. On that occasion they couldn't finish, and that was how it was for much of these games. Organization and endeavor gets you only so far at the top level. Still, there were some bright spots to come out of this tournament. Daniel Arzani emerged as a real star for the future. The Melbourne City youngster had not even made his first A-League start until January, yet here he was, running at French, Danish and Peruvian defenders, the only Australian who looked likely to make something out of nothing. Aziz Behich was a consistent and reliable left-back, firmly establishing himself as first choice in that position. Josh Risdon was a real bolter, standing tall at right-back, hitherto a problem position for the national team. Tom Rogic at times threatened to take games by the scruff of the neck and become the player the Socceroos need him to be. He is a class act when he is on song, although he never quite became the game breaker the team required, especially in the final loss to Peru. Matthew Leckie's tireless work rate and combative attitude also singled him out as a leader on and off the pitch. All that is missing is a genuine goal scorer. In the past, Australia could look to the likes of Mark Vidica, Harry Kewell, John Aloisi and Mark Bresciano, not to mention Tim Cahill. Here only Cahill remained, a 38-year-old whose lack of game time in the past year meant that when he did get his chance in the last 40-odd minutes of the defeat to Peru, he was relying on muscle memory. Until the Socceroos can find forwards of the caliber they once had, then it will always be a struggle to break down teams at the highest level. Containment is relatively easy. Finishing opponents off is the hard part. That is the conundrum Arnold must solve, and the clock is ticking already. Socceroos Group C FIFA World Cup analysis. Michael Lynch, the ages expert on soccer, has had extensive experience of high-level journalism in the UK and Australia. Michael has covered the Socceroos through Asia, Europe and South America in their past 3 World Cup campaigns. He has also reported on Grand Prix and top-class motorsport from Asia and Europe. He has won several national media awards for both sports and industry journalism.